Today's presentation is Beyond Booktalking Whole Library Promotions with Jez Layman. Jez is an adult services librarian at Indian Prairie Public Library in Darien, Illinois. When she's not on the reference desk, she's planning programs for 20 to 30-somethings for IPPL's popular live social group or teaching classes on job hunting. She has a deep love for audiobooks and a spreadsheet for every occasion, so I think we might need to be friends for life. Welcome, Jez.
Welcome, everybody. Thank you for coming. So this presentation came out of a in-service day that I did for another library. They were having a speaker talk about book talking, how to promote books to your users, no matter which department you're in, no matter what desk you're at. And we were thinking we should be able to do the same thing with library promotion, that it shouldn't be limited just to your marketing department. It shouldn't be limited just to the person hosting the program or running the service, that it's something that can work from every point of the library. Slide's a little bit darker than I expected. That's okay. So promotion is everyone's job. It's not just your marketing director. It's not just the one department. It is everyone's job in the library. There's something that everyone can do to help out. So a lot of people, when I bring this up, say, well, it's not my job. I don't work with the public, or I only work in circulation. I just check in books. You don't only work anywhere. Everyone is involved in the library. Everyone has a part to play, and everybody can help promote it. So if it's not part of your job, why should you care about it? First off, promotion brings more people to the library. That's a good thing, because more people at programs means more happy users. It means a boost in other library services, because when they're walking around, maybe they hear about something new, they see a poster, they find out that you offer a resource they didn't know about, and they can use other resources. More people in the library means a boost for other library services. Interest in program can lead to interest in additional information and more book checkouts, because maybe they go to a program on fishing, and they think, oh, well, I really want to try this. So they go and find all the fishing books. Same with art programs, there's a lot of that, or music, they go check out the CDs. So it means a higher rate of circulation for everything, which is good. That's what a lot of libraries rely on for their statistics. That's how they promote themselves to the community. That's how they prove themselves to the director or the board. So even though those statistics only tell a tiny part of the story, they are still useful, and this is a good way to help get some of those. More users means a better return on investment. So it's a good use of community tax dollars, which is very helpful, because you always have people come in and say, well, I pay your salary, or my taxes fund this. And now you have a way to kind of talk back and be like, okay, this is how we're using your tax dollars. Here, look at all the great things we have. Of every service in the world, I cannot think of anyone that gives a better return on investment than libraries. You pay a small portion of that, and librarians just stretch that dollar to the limit and get you as many things as possible. And when we're offering those things, we want to make sure people use them. We want to get some use out of that money. We're not just creating programs or buying books that no one reads. So we want to get that out there, let people know. Promoting new things can help end the myth that libraries are dying. So there are lots of people who don't think that they need the library. They don't think there's something there for them. These are the people that you can reach outside of the building. You want them to come in. You want them to use your services, check out books. Maybe they didn't realize that you offer free ebooks. They could do it from home. They don't even need to come into the building. Or they can get audiobooks on their phone because they have a long commute and they're used to listening to podcasts. Maybe they have access to lynda.com, and they've been paying for this with their LinkedIn subscription, and you can give that to them for free. You can save them all kinds of money. So we can kind of promote our different services, let them know that libraries are still playing a large part in the community. They can offer something to everyone. So there's something for everyone. They just need to know that it exists. So a lot of times, and I'm sure all of you have heard this no matter what position you're in, someone will come up and say, I had no idea that you did this. Or I wish I knew about that. I would have come. I would have used it. That there's so many things out there that people are interested in, but they don't know that you offer it. And you could be doing tons of marketing. At some point, it doesn't matter how much you're doing, there's always going to be someone that it doesn't reach. You could be mailing things directly to their house and they're just not looking closely enough. That's okay. So it's our job to kind of bring that to the forefront, get them educated, give them the information in any way that you can, help them feel like there's something there for them. So how do you talk about this? What are you supposed to talk about? So the first thing you should do, and this applies to anyone at any desk, as well as here are things that managers can mention to their employees to try to find out, get involved in the rest of the library. You should familiarize yourself with what the library can offer. Think beyond books. Everyone knows we have great books, and you should definitely promote those. We have all kinds of readers advisory. That's where the real book talking comes in. But maybe there are other things you can check out. My library offers all kinds of technology that can be checked out, from iPads to a GoPro. We have an under-desk bike that people can use to exercise while they're at work. There's all kinds of things that can be checked out that people don't think that libraries would have. It just doesn't occur to them that they could try that somewhere without having to pay any money. So you can offer that kind of thing. Maybe there's a resume proofreading service or a job club that can help people. There are all kinds of things out there that people just don't know libraries offer. They don't know which library has things, and you can promote that and let them know that libraries offer more than books. You should try some of the services yourself, especially for new patrons. New employees. I highly recommend that they attend a program, that they check out some things themselves, that they try out the online databases. You don't have to know everything. No one's going to know all of that, but you can try something that appeals to you. Figure out, what does the library have that I would want? And then once you know that and you're familiar with it, you can think of, okay, who else wants this? Who has similar interests to me that I can share this with? It could be having access to Ancestry.com. You really want to know who your ancestors are. You want to see the actual documents, the census records, that kind of thing. That's something that you can use. You should stay informed of what's happening throughout the library, not just your department. I'll probably bring this up a couple of times, but a very serious problem in libraries is that we essentially get siloed, that every department exists on its own, and rarely do they know what's happening anywhere else in the library. Because we all have a lot of work to do, and we're very focused on it, and that's great, but our users don't see it that way. They don't interact with only one piece of the library. They could have children, so you have your children and your grandparents, and they need completely different services, but you can reach all of that through the adult, who is either the child or the parent. There's also things that you need to interact with the technology desk and the circulation desk. You need to ask questions in reference. They use every part of the library in some way or another, and we shouldn't be focused on only our piece of it. As librarians, as anyone working at the desk, you should be able to help them no matter where they're going. And you should just know what's being offered in the library so that you don't become one of those people that comes up and says, I didn't know we had this. A good way to do that is to sign up for your library's e-news, if it has one, and I hope it does. This is probably going out weekly, maybe bi-weekly, just saying, here's what the library has going on this week. Here are things we offer, things you might be interested in. It's a good way to just keep apprised of what's happening throughout the library, especially if you have part-time staff. This is a big thing because they're not there all the time to know every part of the library. So they can get their e-news, know what's coming up, be able to talk about things. It's also very helpful for people at the reference desks, no matter which department you're in, because a lot of people will come in and say, oh, I saw this in that email. and they don't remember any of the details. Like, oh, I read about this great book. Can you put that on hold for me? Like, okay, what was the title? What was the author? Oh, I don't know. If you have that email in your inbox, you can pull that up and figure out which book they're talking about, what service they want to sign up for. So it's very helpful in that regard. It saves a lot of time. It saves you a lot of work in terms of looking things up. I get my library's e-newsletter, as well as the e-news from every library in my area. But I always save the most recent copy in my inbox so that I can pull it up at any point and answer those kinds of questions. You should check the online calendar at the beginning of your week. Ideally, you do it at the beginning of your shift, but I don't expect anyone to do that. That's, check it in a lot, and sometimes people don't have that kind of time. I do say the beginning of your week because Libraryland doesn't always run on that Monday to Friday schedule. Your week could be starting on a Wednesday. That's the first day of the week you're working. Just check the online calendar, know what's coming up in the next couple of days, and be able to talk to that. This is very helpful for anyone working the front desk, which I assume is circulation, but every now and again is a reference desk, where people need to come in and know what's going on, and they ask, which room is this in? And if you don't know what the program is, that's a little bit tricky. But it's also just helpful to know when things are happening, where they're happening, so you can direct your patrons, your users, whatever you want to call them. Know the intended audience for each program. I'm going to go into more about this, to how to think about this, to promote it to different people. But at the base level, don't promote children's programs to your seniors, unless they have grandchildren, and that's great. Don't tell a 5th grader that they can come to a story time for 3-year-olds. It's not meant for them. It's not at the right level for them. So it's great, and maybe it's on a topic that they really like. Maybe it's a dinosaur story time. But that's not the program that you want to promote to them. There is something better that you can talk about. And please don't promote programs that are already full. We have limits on those programs for a reason. Sometimes the speakers put that on us. Sometimes it's based on supplies. We do want to know that there's a demand, so waitlists are great for that. But we don't want to really hype something up and get people excited and then tell them they can't come. That's not a very good experience for them. Where am I supposed to do this? Anywhere and everywhere you work. This is the reference desk, at the public computers, circulation. You can do this in the stacks while you're wandering around. Maybe you're reshelving items, you're trying to pull a book for someone, or you're just browsing for yourself. If you see someone that has an interest in something you like, you can talk about it. If they're taking out a book that you really loved, you can comment on it. Oh, I loved that book. That's so great. I really hope you enjoy it. You can do this in the community. There are outreach events, but I also consider this as something you can bring up while you're waiting in line at the grocery store. If you see something that they're interested in, or you see that they have young children, you can say, oh, my library is doing a program at the local children's museum. Or, it's summer, did you know that we check out museum passes? There are different things that you can mention. The same goes for all of your friends and family. You should be talking to them. Personally, I find it harder to get my family to come to anything than I do for total strangers. I did get my brother to show up to a program last night, so I feel successful. There are things that you can offer to them that, again, they may not know about. You should be doing this anywhere and everywhere you work. At programs is a great place to do this. When you get to the start of the program, talk about different things that are coming up, whether they're related or not. And you can do it at the end as well. Remind them, by the way, you should come back on Thursday. We're doing this great program on ancestry. So the best promotion is a positive experience. It doesn't matter how many people we get in the building. The most important thing is that they have a good time while they're there. They should be able to enjoy themselves, get something out of the experience. If you get them in and they don't like it, if no one treats them well, if they're being ignored, they're not going to come back. And they're not going to talk to other people about what you've done. So we want to give a positive experience. make sure they get something out of this. They know what we offer, they want to come back, and they want to tell people about what a great experience they have. If you look at online reviews, there are generally more negative reviews than there are positive ones. This is because you're more likely to speak up about a negative experience than you are to promote a positive one, because you're just very angry, you want to get the word out there. We want to minimize the amount of reviews that we're getting, and the same thing as making comments to their friends and family. Obviously, this is something we can't entirely control, but there are a lot of things we can do to make the experience better, and I'm going to go into some of those. Here's what you can do at each point of the library, point of contact. So checkout and card services. When you're signing someone up for a library card, you should highlight a few upcoming programs. I am always surprised when I go to a new library. I've moved around a lot, so I've gotten cards at new libraries, and they just sign me up and they don't give me a newsletter. They don't tell me what I can do with their library. They don't tell me anything that's happening. A lot of times I have to ask for that information or go find it on my own, and a lot of users are not going to do that. They're not going to go out of their way to do the research to figure out what's coming up. You should be able to reach them through your marketing. You should be able to reach them here at the checkout desk. I like to talk about information versus invitation. You can give someone the information. You can give them, your newsletter, a pamphlet. You can tell them, here's the title, here's the date, just the basics. But if you invite someone, they feel like they're being more seen, that there's something specifically for them, and they feel more comfortable coming to a program because they have been invited. Someone there will know them or can vouch for a good experience, that you make it a little bit more personal and you create that good connection between your staff and your users, which is great because that's something we can build on later. Checkout and card services is generally the first impression of the library. You are the face of the library, so do not underestimate the power of your checkout services. A lot of them are part-time. Maybe they're not as invested or involved as some of your other staff are, but they are still the main point of contact for the majority of your users. Everyone, if they're checking out something, they are using the checkout desk. They are getting a card. When they first come to the library, that's one of the first things they do. They get their library card, and you are their introduction. So please promote the library as much as you can. Make it a positive experience. We're not always having great days, but do your best to greet everyone with a smile, let them know that they are welcome, and make them comfortable. When you have regular users or just people who already have their cards, make some recommendations based on materials being checked out. Obviously, you need to be careful with this and use your own judgment. If they are checking out a lot of items on a more sensitive topic, you might not want to point it out. These people these days are probably using self-check, but every now and again they're not. So, be aware of what they're checking out, know what it connects to, and be able to read your audience. There are people that are just not going to want to talk to you. They just want to get their items and leave. That's okay. But there are a lot of people who use checkout with actual people because they want to talk to someone. They want to make a connection. They like interacting. Those are the people that are going to be very open to recommendations. So if they are checking out a book on flowers, mention, oh, did you know that the local garden club is having a flower sale next weekend? You should really stop by. Again, have that invitation. Don't just tell them, oh, there's a flower sale coming up. You can invite them, let them know the information, and make it conversational. It doesn't need to be stiff and rehearsed. And it's okay to not have all the information. Checkout, again, lots of part-time staff. They are only involved in a small part of the library, although, honestly, checkout is a very large part of the library. You don't need to have all the answers. Don't be afraid to mention a program just because you don't know all the intricate details. But you should know where to send them. If it's a storytime program, be able to point them to the youth services desk. If it's a question about technology, be able to point them either to the reference desk or the technology desk, whoever does that kind of training, who checks out those items. Know what each department does, even if you don't know the specifics. Children and teen departments. So based on the age of the person you're talking to, you're going to treat it a little bit differently. You're going to promote things in a different way. Children and teen departments, you really don't want to info dump on them. They have a shorter attention span. They are only interested if you tell them something that they actually care about. They're not going to keep listening. And you don't want to overwhelm them with details. The same is true for the parents. The parents are so stressed out. They're busy. They want things for their children, but they don't need every detail. You can get them in with some shorter information, and if they're interested, they will ask you for more details, and that's your invitation to keep going, to give more information, and to talk with them. But you don't want to do this first thing. You don't need to give a monologue at everyone that comes up. Remember that parents need to have fun too. There should always be some cross-departmental promotion, whether it's talking to parents about their children, if it's talking to grandparents. When the parents are in the library, remember that they are actual human beings. They are not just the people who bring in all of your little friends, that they need to do things for themselves. And a lot of times that is with your family, but sometimes they just need to get out of the house and have a night to themselves, even if it's just 2 hours. Let them know that there are things available for them as well. Remember that parents may not have only the child in front of them. They may have come in for a 2s and 3s program, but they have school-age children as well that just weren't with them during the middle of the day. So they may have other ages of children at home. So you should be talking up your programs at events, at the reference desk, even if your target demographic isn't right in front of you. You can still talk about these things because they may have a child that age, or they may know someone with a child that age. And it might be interesting. They are also thinking, who can I tell about this? You should be thinking, this program is great, who do I promote it to? And when they hear the information, if they're interested, they're already thinking, oh, my best friend would love this, or my cousin really needs this. They're thinking about that too. So if you give them that information, ideally, they will also pass it on. Something to think about to help provide a smooth transition for graduating teens. I focus on working with people in their 20s and 30s. I focus on all the young adult things. And there is a big problem with libraries that they're not capturing that age group. Generally, that is because they don't need the library as much when they're out of school, because they've always thought of it as a place for research. This is somewhere I have to go because my teacher says I need an actual book for my report. They've always thought of us in an educational context. And even the ones that come to all of your programs, they're on your youth advisory board, they still don't always come back once they don't need those hours because they're not allowed in the teen area anymore. They're not allowed in the children's department, and they don't know how to move on to that next stage. They're a little bit worried about it. They think, oh, that's just for old people. I could go into all kinds of programs to offer, and I have. That's another webinar I've done. You can watch that later. But you can help them transition, let them know that there is a place for them. There's somewhere that they can be comfortable. Currently, my library is working on a series of programs for your college-age kids, the people who've just graduated. We do it in summer and winter breaks, and we focus on bringing the teen and young adult departments and bringing them together. So I work with the teen librarian so that we can capture both audiences, let them know that they can come to these programs, they're welcome, and get them a little bit more familiar without totally leaving the teen programs, but getting to know people from a little bit older demographic in their mid to late 20s, so that they know someone there. They get familiar with me as the adult services librarian, and they feel a bit more comfortable being there. So you don't have to offer programs like I'm doing, but do try to offer a smooth transition for graduating teens. When it gets to May, when it gets to June, You've known these teenagers for years, maybe since they started coming when they were still in diapers. Let them know what they can do in the adult department. We don't need to end their library time now. A lot of people come as children, and then we don't see them again until they have their own children or they're retired. And that is a huge block in the middle of their life that we could be helping them with. So do what you can to let them know that they can still come, even though they've aged out or their needs have become different. Reference and reader's advisory. Invite readers to book clubs based on their book choices. Say, oh, I see that you're checking out this book. You're reading The Nightingale by Kristen Hanna. Our book club is reading that in a couple of months. You should really join us. I hope you like this. Maybe you'll have some things to bring to the discussion. Again, it's that invitation. It could also be read-alikes. Like, oh, I see you're checking out an older John Grisham book. We're reading one of his newer ones later this month. You should really come to this. And don't focus only on books, because there are lots of things that you can recommend where if they like a lot of adventure movies or they like superheroes, you can recommend graphic novels, you can recommend novels or nonfiction. There's true adventure books that are even more harrowing than the actual movies with all the explosions. There's a lot of stress there. There are things that you can recommend to them regardless of the material type. Mix fiction and nonfiction. There is crossover there. I, not too long ago, read Robin Sloan's Sourdough, which was great, and it's definitely got a fantastical element to it. But I really got into the idea of making bread, and I now make my own sourdough because I looked up the different kinds of things based on that book and found out the real-life applications that relate to sourdough. Now, maybe it's not going to sing to me or try to take over my whole house, but I did learn a good skill from that. It was something that got me interested, and I was able to pursue that interest. I mentioned open those curiosity doors. This is a reference from Stranger Things, which I hope is not outdated yet, but when they're interested in things like that, when they're curious about something, encourage that. Don't just give them one answer to whatever question it is. Let them know where they can find more information. Get them out onto the web, get them out into your collection, and create displays for upcoming programs. You can do this throughout your department. I recommend having something near the front door and something near whichever room you hold the programs in, unless it's kind of out of the way. But even then, it's still helpful because people going to a program, they're already likely to come to an event. So if you're advertising another event, they may come to it. It's great because these books, materials, whatever you put on there, will help promote a program because they'll come up and see all the gardening books and then realize, oh, there's a gardening event coming up. They may be interested in that. You've already gotten them with something that they like. Now you can pull on that more. It's also great to have outside of the meeting room, wherever you call it, because when people leave that program, they want more information. And you have those books available, you have those movies available. They can grab them right there. They don't necessarily know what to ask for. They don't know what's out there, but here it is right in front of them. So it's great to do that to promote things, but also to have after the program. Adults are sometimes scared to try new things on their own. Again, I work with the 20 and 30-somethings. This is a huge thing for them. Lots of social anxiety there. They don't want to do things by themselves, but the library can really help to make that a safe place. They can try new things without having to buy into all the materials that it requires. They don't need to take expensive college courses. They can come to the library, learn something, try it out, and then decide, is this something I want to dedicate myself to? So it's kind of a no-risk situation. It's also, they can come and they can leave if they don't like it. Hopefully they stay, but if they're not comfortable, they are not required to stay. So you can let them know that, this is a place where we're going to encourage learning, but we're not going to hold you accountable to anything. And the people here all want to learn the same thing. They're all in the same situation. Kind of relieves some of that stress for them. Programmers, you can't rely on marketing to do all your work for you. I wish I could. It would save me so much time, but it really is on me as well. I know the most about the program. I'm the one who can talk to it. So you can do this at your events, and I highly recommend you do this. Just when you welcome people, when you start up your presentation, just tell them, here are some other events that are coming up. Here are things that the library is offering that maybe you didn't know about. And don't do this for only your programs. Again, we're going to get into that siloing problem that libraries have. Don't talk only about job programs at a job program. Let them know, here are other resources we have, or even just, we have a fun fair coming up in a couple of weeks. People who are looking for jobs want to have fun too. They probably need it more than the rest of us. You should be able to share other things that are happening. Know what the library is offering. Again, keep your newsletter with you, get an e-news, know what's coming up, check your online calendar, be able to talk to those things even if you're not the one in charge of it. You should be greeting people as they come in. This helps everyone to feel seen, makes them feel like they're not just an anonymous person in the back of the room. It's kind of building on that invitation that once they're there, let them know that yes, we invited you because we were interested, but now we want you to be in this space. There is a place for you here. Just be kind, basically. Give them a good experience. Greet everyone as they come in. Don't be the presenter who is just standing at the front of the room or not even in the room waiting for your time to speak. You should be interacting. This is very hard for us introverts. I have to psych myself up and plan for this ahead of time, but I do consider it part of the job. That even before, that 7 o'clock time starts, when I open the doors, that's when the program begins. And again, be able to point people to different materials, different services, let them know where they can go if they're interested in what you've just taught them. Technology services, let them know about upcoming programs relevant to the questions. They could be asking you a question about Windows 10, and you should answer that question in the moment. But if they need more help, or if it's something that you think they'll run into other issues, let them know about a class coming up, or maybe your library does one-on-one sessions where they can book a time with a staff member and sit down and figure out what they need to do. Or you probably have books on the shelf about this. You may also have online services like lynda.com, or maybe your library has made your own videos of tutorials on your website. You can point them to all of these things to help them figure out their questions, to kind of anticipate their needs based on what they've already asked you. Encourage people to come back. Make sure they know where to go for help if they need it. Don't just answer their one question and hope that's the end of it. There are times that we're going to think that in our heads, but don't let the patrons know that. You should invite them to come back. Again, just let them know that they're welcome, that there's something there in the library for them. Show users where they can find the books or databases. Don't just talk about it. Don't give them the information only, because a lot of people, if you tell them where to find something, if you just tell them what the information is, they're not going to know where to look, or they're not going to do the research necessary to find that. You can pull up on your computer, show them your screen, say, here it is on our website, here's how you get to it, here's what it can do for you. My library has small business cards for all of our databases that have steps of the links on how to get there. So it's written across the top, so even once we've showed them, they know exactly where to go. They don't have to poke around on our website and hopefully find something. You can also point them to someone else for help. That's okay. Again, you don't need to have all of the answers. Even if it's your department, you're not expected to know everything. Know where to point people for more help. Everyone is involved. Doesn't matter where you are. I get a lot of people in technical services who tell me that they don't need to do promotion because they don't work with the public. That might be true in that they don't work with the public, but they can still do all kinds of things. They are not an island unto themselves. They do interact with people, whether it's their coworkers, whether it's their family, their friends. They might be outside of the library building, but that's who we should be focusing on to promote programs. We want to get more people in. We want to reach the people who don't know about us and tell them what to do. Or not what to do, but what they could do. Invite your family and friends. Share your own experiences. Ideally, you have come to a program, checked out an item, used a service. Let them know what that did for you, what you have learned. Make the library the most welcoming environment you can. Again, just be friendly. Give people the invitation to come. Let them know where to find more information. And just smile. It's very easy to do. Sometimes hard to remember, but it makes a difference. It makes people feel more welcome and more comfortable in that environment. Be able to answer what's new, what's coming up in the library, what's going on, have you changed recently, have you added new services? You can do this again by looking at your newsletter, following the e-news, talking to your coworkers, interacting with people outside of your own department. That's the same siloing. It's not just what we offer. A lot of times staff will only sit with their coworkers, people they interact with all the time, and they don't get to know people in the other departments. If you can, really encourage that, at least on your staff institute days. Mix up the groups. Don't let them only sit with their friends. Let them sit with their friends a little bit. That's okay. You want them to be happy too. But let them get new experiences, a better perspective of the library as a whole, not just the part that they do only when they're here. Have handouts available. This could just be your newsletter. It could be flyers. Could be those little database cards I talked about. Have something they can take home so that they can remember it later. They may not look it up immediately. They may need just to have that link on there because they've already forgotten where it is. Have something that they can take with them as a reminder. And it doesn't matter what your position is, doesn't matter how many or how few hours you work, you are the face of the library. Everyone who works at the library, if you even tell them that you work at the library, you are then a representative of that institution. You are there to give them a good experience, let them know what's coming. And libraries are not in competition with each other. Know what's going on at other libraries, be able to point them to that. Let them know about all the good services in your area, even if it's not at your library, because all promotion of libraries is good for every library. Let them know there's something out there, and they will seek it out wherever they are. Promotion isn't just marketing, it's a conversation. You should be talking with them. This is where the book talking part of programs comes in. These are basic tips. I'm building on the actual use of book talking. You want to naturally segue into talking about a program. It's not a commercial. You don't want to just monologue at people as soon as they walk up. Bring it up naturally. Know who you're talking to, who this is important for. Give them some kind of piece that grabs their attention. And you're going to talk briefly about the program or service. Again, don't info dump unless they're asking you for things. And provide information when they ask questions. So when you're getting into the conversation, you want to consider the appeal. Who would want to go to this program? Who is this for? Who most needs this? And are we overlooking someone? We are marketing it to specifically this group, but whatever group that is, there may be others that are interested as well that you are not thinking about. So this is kind of a creative situation. It's a great exercise to do with your employees during department meeting or even one-on-one. Bring up a program that's coming up and get them thinking about who would want to come to this. It's similar to when you're reading a book. You're thinking, here are the elements that appeal for people. Here's what they want to read. Who would I give this to? Think about who would I tell about this program. Relate programs with materials. We've already talked about that. Relate your more popular services with new things that you're offering. Know your audience. Again, you don't want to just talk at someone who clearly does not want to be there. Be able to read that situation. And talk with your coworkers. Give them information about what you're doing, and they'll be more likely to talk about it to other people. Or they may want to come themselves. You want to figure out what is the most interesting part of this program. That we have to kind of narrow things down to a sentence or two. That's your pitch, that's your elevator talk. This is what's probably in your newsletter. Figure out what is it that interests people about this, and then tell them that. So you want to let them know what they can do, what they can make, what they're going to learn, why they should care about this, and why you're telling them, basically. Briefly give them the information on when and where the program is, how to register. If they want more information, they will ask for it. Promotion is a service. It's something that we're doing for them. We are informing the public of things that they can use, of materials they want to check out, of programs they want to attend. Here are just a couple of examples. I won't spend too much time on this because I want to make sure we have time for questions. But maybe if you like this book, you should check out this movie instead. I think we're doing a showing next month. You should really come. Or when you're done working on your resume, you should talk to our librarians. They're really good at this. Or when you finish with your resume, you should upload it to Brainfuse Job Now. They have job experts who will look at this and edit it for you and give you tips, and it's totally free. When I tell people that, they are so astounded. There are all kinds of things we can offer, and you should be able to talk to them with that. It doesn't have to be very hard. It doesn't have to be stilted or rehearsed. It's just a conversation. You are not just promoting a service, you're promoting the library as a whole. Giving some goodwill for the libraries, let them know we're still here, we're still relevant, we still have a lot to offer you. Tips to get your staff involved. Provide your staff with copies of the library's newsletter. When it comes out, just put a copy in every mailbox. Give them a chance to look at it. They may not seek it out. Depending on their position, they may not know that a newsletter is out, what things are coming up. So give them copies of that. Encourage your staff to sign up for the email updates. That's great for letting them know what's coming up. As I mentioned earlier, it's also great just to help you figure out what your patrons are asking for. Take time during staff meetings to discuss upcoming programs, introduce new services, even the things in other departments. Let them know, here's what's going on in the library. You may get questions about this, or you may know someone who needs this. Create an internal blog, message board, Basecamp, whatever it is you use, so that staff from all departments can post what they're doing, which services need a boost, what programs have low attendance sign up, and you really want to start promoting that a little bit more. This is something that you can do cross-departmental. It shouldn't be only the people you work with at the same desk. So we can promote all kinds of programs. I promote the teen programs a lot, the children's programs, things for seniors, even though I'm only working with the 20s and 30-somethings. Periodically have staff take tours of the library and hear from other departments. This shouldn't happen only when they are first being hired, partially because at that time they're already overwhelmed with information. But things change. You rearrange the department, maybe there's a new service you didn't have when that person first started. Just every year, do a tour. Maybe it's at your staff institute, have someone come up and give a short talk about what they've done in the last year. Maybe it's just your department takes a tour as one of their department meetings at some point. Or encourage staff to do it on their own and report back to you with what they've learned. So a program that I have done that has been pretty successful that you can do, or you can take these ideas, make your own thing. I really encourage you to reach out about this. It's called What Your Library Can Do. So it's totally free for them. You don't have to, bring any materials. You don't have to provide anything except for information. Just go through an overview of the services and programs that people may not know what you offer. So you're going to go beyond your books here. You're going to talk about, here are the things that make our library unique. Here are the things that we think you'll really enjoy. If you really highlight which programs save them money, they are very excited about those. They want to know where their tax money is going. They want to know how to cut the cord how to save money on their lynda.com subscription, how to get free videos at home through Hoopla. They want to know all those things that they can get for free. Give them a behind-the-scenes tour of the library. So you can point out and explain services and materials along the way. Show them where to find things, just like I was talking about with the staff. You can do this same program with your staff. Show them where everything is, and they really like doing the behind-the-scenes part. They think it's really cool. Even if all you're showing them is the staff break room, that's something they get to see that other people don't get to see. It's somewhere they're not allowed to be. They're very excited about that. So it's kind of a fun way to connect with people, get them interested. But as you're walking around, have staff from each department speak briefly about what they're offering, what they think you should know, and be able to answer any questions. Because again, we don't know the answer to everything. Even if you're hosting this program, you don't need to know every tiny detail of every single service. You can go to those departments and ask questions. Have someone that is knowledgeable on the subject talk about it. We don't want to go at length. We're keeping this program short. Generally, I spend maybe 45 minutes talking about the services in a presentation, and then we take the next 45 minutes as a tour and leave lots of time for questions because they will have them. And it's great because even when the program ended, the last time I did this, it took me another half hour to get back to my department because people wanted to talk to me. They felt very comfortable approaching me. They had all kinds of questions, and they wanted to let me know how they have used their services. They wanted to say, oh, I used this material to learn how to write my resume. I, became more comfortable for an interview, or I just learned how to knit, and I'm so excited about that. They were telling me all their personal stories, and those are also good promotions. Those are stories that you should be writing down, collecting somewhere, so that later you can talk about the impact the library has had on the population. And that's great to bring to your board. It's also great just to talk to other patrons. Let them know how great this service is, how much other people like it. We provided handouts with information on how to access different services. I had a whole table covered in things on how to access ebooks, how much your library card saves you. There's a great resource on the ALA's website about you go through, and even if you're checking off, I checked out this many items and I went to see this one movie. It tells you how much you save on average. And even if you're only using a couple things a year, it is very worth it to them. And if they use it more often, they save even more, and that's really exciting to them. Let them know how to access your databases, give them a copy of your newsletter, have flyers for programs available, things they can take with them. So it's, again, a program you can do every now and again. I do it once a year during National Library Week. It's a great way to let people know how to become a super user. It invites new people, lets them know what you're all about, what you can give them, and even your most ecstatic users, people who are in there all the time, there's always something new that they can learn that maybe they didn't know about. And this kind of gives them that insider view, and they feel really, privileged to be there. They feel like they're getting something that other people aren't. It's a bonus. And again, they really like the behind the scenes. So that is an idea that I have done. I do it once a year. It's great to get people interested, and I get more people every year. So that is something to consider for your staff or your patrons. Everyone is welcome at the library. We just need to give them an invitation. They are all welcome here. We have something for everyone. You just have to let them feel it. Feel that there's something for them. Make them feel welcome. Really just treat them well. Give them a good experience. Here is my contact information. You can reach me through my website. I have some resources on there, especially if you are looking for things to do with 20 and 30-somethings at your library, whether you've started before or you're doing it now. I have a whole page on that. You can send me questions through there. You can also find me on Twitter. I'm there all the time. All right, anybody have questions? Any other questions?
Great job, Jez. Thanks for joining us today.
Yes, thank you.
We will hang around for a few more minutes. If anybody has questions, you can jot them down in the discussion box. Otherwise, we thank you for joining us today.